Part 2. Storked. You can't change laws without first changing human nature. Nurse Greta. You can't change human nature without first changing the law. Nurse Yvonne. Chapter 9. Mother. The mother is 19, but she doesn't feel that old. She feels no wiser, no more capable of dealing with the situation than a little girl. When, she wonders, did she stop being a child? The law says it was when she turned 18, but the law doesn't know her. Still aching from the trauma of delivery, she holds her newborn close. It's just after dawn on a chilly morning. She moves now through back alleys, not a soul around. Dumpsters cast angular black shadows, broken bottles everywhere. This, she knows, is the perfect time of day to do this. There's less of a chance that coyotes and other scavengers would be out. She couldn't bear the thought of the baby suffering needlessly. A large green dumpster looms before her, listing crookedly on the uneven pavement of the alley. She holds the baby tight as if the dumpster might grow hands and pull the baby into its filthy depths. Maneuvering around it, she continues down the alley. There was a time, shortly after the Bill of Life was passed, that dumpsters such as this would be tempting to girls like her. Desperate girls who would leave unwanted newborns in the trash. It had become so common that it wasn't even deemed newsworthy anymore. It had just become a part of life. Funny, but the Bill of Life was supposed to protect the sanctity of life. Instead, it just made life cheap. Thank goodness for the Storking Initiative, that wonderful law that allows girls like her a far better alternative. As dawn becomes early morning, she leaves the alleys and enters a neighborhood that gets better with each street she crosses. The homes are large and inviting. This is the right neighborhood for storking. She chooses the home shrewdly. The house she decides on isn't the target, or isn't the largest, but it's not the smallest either. It has a very short walkway to the street, so she can get away quickly, and it's overgrown with trees, so no one either inside or out will be able to see her as she storks the newborn. She carefully approaches the front door. No lights are on in the home yet. That's good. There's a car in the driveway. Hopefully that means they're home. She gingerly climbs the porch steps, careful not to make a sound, then kneels down, placing the sleeping baby on the welcome mat. There are 2 blankets wrapped around the baby and a wool cap covers its head. She makes the blankets nice and tight. It's the only thing she's learned to do as a mother. She considers ringing the bell and running, but she realizes that would not be a good idea. If they catch her, she's obliged to keep the baby. That's part of the Storking Initiative, too. But if they open the door and find nothing but the child, it's finders keepers in the eyes of the law. Whether they want it or not, the baby is legally theirs. From the time she learned she was pregnant, she knew she would end up storking this baby. She had hoped that when she finally saw it, looking up at her so helplessly, she might change her mind. But who was she kidding? With neither the skill nor the desire to be a mother at this point in her life, storking had always been her best option. She realizes she's lingered longer than is wise. There's an upstairs light on now, so she forces herself to look away from the sleeping newborn and leaves. With the burden now lifted from her, she has sudden strength. She now has a second chance in life, and this time she'll be smarter. She's sure of it. As she hurries down the street, she thinks how wonderful it is that she can get a second chance. How wonderful it is that she can dismiss her responsibility so easily. Chapter 10. Risa. Several streets away from the storked newborn, at the edge of a dense wood, Risa stands at the door of a home. She rings the bell, and a woman answers in her bathrobe. Risa offers the woman a big smile. Hi, my name is Dee Dee, and I'm collecting clothes and food for our school. We're like giving them to the homeless, and it's like this competition. Whoever gets the most wins a trip to Florida or something. So it would be really, really great if you could help out. The sleepy woman tries to get her brain up to speed with Dee Dee, airhead for the homeless. The woman can't get a word in edgewise because Dee Dee talks way too fast. If Risa had had a piece of chewing gum, she would have popped a bubble somewhere in there to add more authenticity. Please, please, pretty please, I'm like in second place right now. The woman at the door, resigned to the fact that Dee Dee isn't going away empty-handed, and sometimes the best way to get rid of girls like this is just to give them something. I'll be right back, the woman says. 3 minutes later, Risa walks away from the house with a bag full of clothes and canned food. That was amazing, says Connor, who had been watching with Lev from the edge of the woods. What can I say? I'm an artist, she says. It's like playing the piano. You just have to know which keys to strike in people. Connor smiles. You're right. This is way better than stealing. Actually, says Lev, scamming is stealing. Risa feels a bit prickly and uncomfortable at the thought, but tries not to show it. Maybe so, says Connor, but it's stealing with style. The woods have ended at a tract community. Manicured lawns have turned yellow along with the leaves. Autumn has truly taken hold. The homes here are almost identical, but not quite. Full of people almost identical, but not quite. It's a world Risa knows about only through magazines and TV. To her, suburbia is a magical kingdom. Perhaps that's why Risa was the one who had the nerve to approach the house and pretend to be Dee Dee. The neighborhood drew her, like the smell of fresh bread baking in the industrial ovens of Ohio State Home 23. Back in the woods where they can't be seen from anyone's window, they check their goodie bag, as if it's full of Halloween candy. There's a pair of pants and a blue button-down shirt that fits Connor. There's a jacket that fits Lev. There are no clothes for Risa. That's okay. She can play Dee Dee again at a different house. I still don't know how changing our clothes is going to make a difference, Connor asks. Don't you ever watch TV? Says Risa. On the cop shows, they always describe what perps were wearing when they put out an EPB. We're not perps, says Connor. We're AWOLs. We're felons, says Lev, because what we're doing, is a federal crime. What, stealing clothes? Asks Connor. No, stealing ourselves. Once the Unwind orders were signed, we all became government property. Kicking AWOL makes us federal criminals. It doesn't sit well with Risa, or for that matter with Connor, but they both shake it off. This excursion into a populated area is dangerous, but necessary. Perhaps as the morning goes on, they can find a library where they can download maps and find themselves a wilderness large enough to get lost in for good. There are rumors of hidden communities of AWOL unwinds. Maybe they can find one. As they move cautiously through the neighborhood, a woman approaches them. Just a girl, really, maybe 19 or 20. She walks fast, but she's walking funny, like she's got some injury or recovering from one. Risa's certain she's going to see them and recognize them, but the girl passes them without even making eye contact and hurries around a corner.